Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week we're going to finish off my hacked up Ferrari manifold. So those of you last week who watched me cut up the Ferrari manifold, you will see that it's come together quite nicely. I'm pretty happy with it most of the way through. One of the big issues is I had some issues with welding some of these bits on the inside, and part of that is due to there's some bolting points that I tried to leave in there. They were actually only really to just tidy up the wiring loom in there, the wiring loom bolts on, but it's too hard to weld around them. So I think now I'm going to go in there and cut them out so I can finish welding this up, and then we can check and see if it's all working the way it's supposed to. All right, that is so much better. I managed to weld all the way around all of these runners now that I chopped those extra bits off. Now it's time to unbolt it. Hopefully it comes off nicely and it hasn't moved too much, it's not too tight. And then we need to start looking at tidying them up. All right, so now I've ground that all back, but obviously it doesn't quite look right. The issue is because this whole manifold was all sand cast. So you can see the, basically it looks like a sand finish on the outside, and this grinded back bit doesn't match. Now, I did get a couple of links to some videos that you guys sent through. Some guys done it with an engraver and gone through and engraved the whole area. This is a lot of area to engrave, and I can't remember where I saw it, but there is another method I have seen that is much quicker and easier to get a similar finish, and that is the one that I'm going to use now. And that is actually using a very heavy, coarse wire wheel, and this, because it's flicking it and it's heavy and it's chunky, it actually leaves marks in the surface that is similar to the sand casting, and sort of it blends it in quite nicely. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go over the whole thing with the wire wheel, and let's see how much better I can get it. So I'm not sure how well the camera is picking it up, but it still has a certain amount of texture on there. Now, obviously this is shinier than the rest, and I'll probably get these taken away and vapor blasted so they're all looking just as shiny and it all matches. But that is a big improvement over just being ground. It blends in quite nicely, and I am quite happy with that result. So we have that part done, so now it's time to have a go on the inside and just tidy up the joins. All right, so you can see here that there's a little bit of a lip in those pockets there where the two surfaces met. So I'm going to go through now and just tidy up those lips with a extension die grinder in there, and that should make the transition nice and smooth and even. It's mostly, the lip's mostly there because we were right on the verge of where it went from round to oval, so there is a little bit of ovulation in there, and that's just something I can just tidy up quickly now. Okay, so the transitions now are much nicer. I've gone through and tidied up all the walls, and there is a really nice smooth transition on all of the runners. It's nice and clean, so I am happy with that. Alright, I am very happy with how these all turned out on the sides here, and once you put fuel rails in there and injectors, you're not going to see any of this. It's all going to be well and truly hidden. It will look great. But before I put it in the car, obviously I need to make sure that there are no air leaks, because any air leaks means that like vacuum leaks will play havoc with the tune, and everything's going to be a nightmare. So what I've done is I've gone through, I've sealed up all of the main entrances on the manifold itself. It doesn't need a crazy amount of pressure to be able to test this. And what I've done is I've mixed up some dishwashing liquid, like a pretty strong dishwashing liquid mix. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint around the weld areas with the dishwashing liquid while I'm running air through this hole here. And you can actually see the whole thing expands. I've put some oil on the bench so that it's got a bit of a seal around the bottom. It's still blowing air out of the bottom. And anywhere where there's a hole and there's air leaking through, it's going to blow bubbles with the liquid. So we'll be able to see where the bubbles are, repair them if there are any, and move on. So let's see how that works. Well, that looks great. No leaks. So let's put the engine back in the car again, yay, and see how it actually sits. All right, so as you can see, even though I've cut that manifold down, and I know a lot of people are asking if I can cut it down any further, there is zero way I can make that any lower. There's only just enough room for the injectors to sit in underneath this sort of bulge, so there's no getting this lower. That's as low as it's going to go, and I think that's good. As you can see, the bonnet is it clears most of the way up, but it does sit higher a little bit. Obviously, this bonnet actually hinges this way normally, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So I am going to have to put a bonnet bulge in this, as I've mentioned. So first part of creating a bonnet bulge is cutting a hole. How good does it look? How good does that look? Oh, it fits nice. It's not going to need a huge bonnet bulge. I was really thinking that in the end it would have been a much bigger bulge would have been required than what we're actually going to need. It's not that much. You can see the back edge is actually underneath the bonnet line, so that sits down lower than the bonnet line, and the bonnet bulge is going to be just nice. Just nice. Oh, I like it. Okay, so as good as this looks, we still have lots more to do before this engine is anywhere near running. And one of the next things, there were a few people who were asking why I didn't put the radiator fans, the thermo fans on the front of the radiator. And that is because, well, A, there is not a lot of space here anyway, but there is just enough space for this, which is an oil cooler. So I am putting this oil cooler in here in the front. This is a 19-row oil cooler I'm putting in, and it's going to sit in about here like this. So some of the centre of it is going to be blocked by these fins, but it is getting air directed in around the outside. I didn't want to take up all of the radiator space, but and there is nowhere else to put it, at least not with direct airflow. So that's where I'm going to mount it for now. So I need to start working out how I'm actually going to hold it in place. At the moment it's just sort of swinging in the air, and that's not going to do. So let's work out some bracketing, and I'll get back to you. All right, Alright, so I have a new addition to the workshop. After I mentioned it the last couple of weeks, I've actually managed to find an old lathe that I picked up. Thank you very much to the patrons who have definitely helped out in decking out this shop, and this is going to be a game changer for so many parts on this build. So for a very simple first thing is I've just got a couple of these standoff rods that I'm going to use to bolt the top of the oil cooler on. I want to thread the top and the bottom of these. This machine can do threading. I'm not even going to attempt that with this. I just want to turn it down enough so that I can just use a tap on it. It's just a little bit too big at the moment. I need to take just the tiniest bit off of either end, so I'm going to put them in the machine now. Turn it down, tap the ends, and we've got a lathe! Yeah! Alright, so I've made my two standoffs here. They're taking all the weight of this oil cooler now. It's nice and firmly mounted to the radiator support of the car. But the next thing I need to do is just do something for the bottom. Because they're just swinging around, I need to make up some brackets to hold them up. So I've made up a little cardboard template. So let's go now and cut a couple of these out and mount them to the car. Okay, and that is now firmly mounted in place. I love this spot welder. It's such a handy tool, particularly for jobs like that, to be able to get in there and just spot weld into place. Nice and easy. It's all done, nice and secure. And I'm stoked. I'm really happy with how this bonnet's come out. The runners and the bonnet, everything look good. Obviously, that is just an initial cut. There's a lot more to do when I actually make the bonnet bulge. I need to create space for the inlets and all the rest of it. This is just an initial size up, but it's gone, girl. But that is all the time I have for today, so that means it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hey guys, in 1989, Alfa Romeo began production of the experimental sports car known as ES30, or even better known as the SZ. This was a limited high-performance sports car that was actually designed by Alfa Romeo but built by Zagato. It was an attempt to revive Alfa's sporting heritage and to hark back to the Sprint Zagato from the 1950s. Underneath, it was based on the Alfa 75 with its 3-litre V6, but it used suspension from the 75 Alfa Group A car, and it was able to sustain over 1.1 G in cornering. It was one of the first cars to use computer-aided design and featured thermoplastic injection molded composite body panels. In 1992, the convertible RZ, or Roadster Zagato, was released. They were only available in black, yellow and red, and only 350 were ever planned to be built. Unfortunately, 252 cars in, Zagato went into receivership. The receivers built another 32 cars, 3 of which were painted silver, and the final one which was painted pearl white.
Okay guys, well today we have another episode of Mail Time, and this time I have a tube. And I did look at the from section of this, and it's actually from a couple of my good mates who shouldn't have sent anything to me, but they did anyway. Inside, the first thing I pulled out were gas struts. These are gas struts for Harry, because obviously they've been watching my videos for ages and watching that I've been propping the bonnet and the boot up for a long time. So they've actually gone out and ordered me the correct gas struts for Harry. what they didn't realise is that the reason I haven't used them on Harry is because with the fiberglass bonnet, these things are generally too powerful to hold it up. They bow the bonnet in the middle. But now they've given it to me, I have to work out how to actually get these things to fit properly so they don't clunk my head. So that's a future project for Harry. So thank you, Louis and Pete. You shouldn't have sent them to me, but anyway. So along with the struts, there is a note, and it's, we're loving your work on the channel. Congratulations on getting Harry up and running. We thought it about time to retire those broom handles. Cheers from Pete and Lou. Thank you guys, thank you very much. And you sent me a couple of stickers. I don't know exactly what they refer to, but anyway, there's the Tucson Raiders and Dash's Daredevils. No idea what they are, but they're going on the wall. All right, and just a note, Sabrina reached out to me. Luca, her husband, apparently now has the 10-foot Alfa that I did a review on. I'll put a link up here for you guys to have a look. It's a Alfa 105 that I drove a couple of years ago. So happy birthday, Luca. And if any of you guys have got anything you want me to chuck on the wall or anything you want to send me, you can send it through to Home Built by Jeff, PO Box 1520, Bowral, New South Wales 25576, Australia. All right, that was a fun week. I finally managed to get the bonnet on. That is sitting actually much better than I could have hoped for. I was worried it was still going to be much higher, so I don't have to have an enormous bonnet bulge. But
nobody wants an enormous bonnet bulge. I think Jeff's done it quite subtly.
Yes.
Subtle.
Obviously, there's lots more work in trimming and everything required once I go to actually put the design and build the bulge. But that will come later, and we actually have the oil core to fill it up. So we are really making progress. I am really happy with how this is coming together. It's going to be great.
Let's say a big thank you to the Patreons who have been supporting Jeff in this mission.
Yes, thank you again to the patrons for helping out. We have all
this.
Okay, well that's about it for this one. So
see you next week.
See you next time. See you guys.
And it's suspension. Group A car, and it was based on the Alfa 75. I can't remember that now. Plastic moldings, molded body panels, and they were composite.